Amazon CEO Andy Jassy claimed the lion's share of cost optimization is largely completed, and enterprises are turning their attention once again to accelerating the pace of their cloud migration. So you heard it here. Andy Jassy has let us know, the CEO of Amazon CEO Andy Jassy has let us know that you guys are all done. So if you didn't get a chance to optimize, you're going to have to wait for the next round. I'm sorry. Go ahead and start cranking the migration dial again, please.
Welcome to the Cables to Clouds podcast. Cloud adoption is on the rise, and many network infrastructure professionals are being asked to adopt a hybrid approach. As individuals who have already started this journey, we would like to empower those professionals with the tools and the knowledge to bridge the gap.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to the Cables to Clouds Fortnightly news episode. My name is Alex Perkins. I will be your host for this week's episode. You can find me at Bumps in the Wire on socials. I'm joined by Tim and Chris, as always. Tim is at Juan Golbez, and Chris is at BGP Main. So we are going to jump right in. There's not a whole lot of news, but there's some pretty important ones. So I think we're going to have a little bit to talk about here. So the elephant in the room, this came out literally the day after we recorded our last news episode. So of course, sorry for the delay, as much as we could help it. But it's IBM acquires HashiCorp. I personally was not expecting this at all. I don't know if you guys had any inkling of that this was even coming. I know we had kind of hinted that I think it was HashiCorp was talking about they were available maybe for purchase, right? Chris, you pointed this out like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that was something that I think like people were speculating that that's why they made the change to the BSL licensing,
right? Just
to like look more appealing in that department. But yeah, I mean, like you said, but didn't see this coming. But at the same time, I don't know. I think I've just grown to expect the unexpected now. Like I feel like I'm not going to be able to predict a single fucking thing that happens in this industry anymore. This last like year and a half has been insane.
There's been so many big acquisitions since like Thanksgiving last year.
Like a lot of consolidation happening. Crazy. Yeah. Which is actually in line with the fact that VC money is not easy to get and the interest rates are high. And it actually, I think it's probably right on time. But in terms of who's acquiring who, holy crap, man. Like,
right.
There's so many angles to talk about this specific one. And I don't want to, spend the whole show talking about it. But I think one of the things I want to get you guys' thoughts on is the price. Right. So I only bring this up because we talked about when Juniper got acquired, right? That was it 14 billion?
Yeah, that's right.
Is Juniper only worth a little over 2 times what HashiCorp is worth? Like it's so weird to me, just the way that the prices of these acquisitions have come about. You guys got any thoughts on that?
Well, remember that we did one of the stories we did a few episodes back had to do with an investor suing Juniper, saying like you guys screwed with the price. That the executives had screwed with the price because they were getting golden parachutes or something. So that one's still yet to be determined, honestly, because I think even we were like, what the hell, Juniper worth 14 billion? That's all they're worth, right? So yeah, but the valuation on Hashi, $35 a share. Now I had, obviously don't know what it should have been, right? Because it wasn't available for that. So that's a pretty good, to put that in perspective, Cisco stock is trading at like 50, 52, something like that, somewhere around, or it was. Actually, I think it's lower now. I have to go look at it. But, 40 something now, I think it is. But that puts it right in line, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, no, it is for sure. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know how these evaluations come about. I guess, so Chris, if you didn't have anything else, the other thing I want to call out is I think what a lot of people are missing about this is everyone's only talking about Terraform when it comes to this acquisition. HashiCorp has a lot of other products. They have Vault, they have Nomad, they have Console, they have like Boundary, Waypoint, Packer. Like there's all these other other products that they have. And to me, like, it makes so much sense. When this was first announced, I wasn't immediately like excited about it, but looking at it more, something like console, like IBM actually having this brings up a lot of opportunity in the like on-prem cloud space, right? Especially when you get a thing like Nomad or a console or something like that. Like this really kind of could elevate the game, I think, for private cloud solutions. What do you guys think there?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I think if you've ever looked at the pricing for Vault, I think it's pretty apparent that that's how they make a good portion of what they make, right?
Yeah.
It's a relatively, I mean, it's a robust solution. It's good. The people that use it are very satisfied with it, from what I can tell, at least. But yeah, I will admit I'm not as versed on their product suite outside of Terraform and Vault. I know a bit about console as well. But yeah, I mean, you might be right. I mean, that's the game that Red Hat is playing right now, right? With things like, OpenShift and things like that, which we'll probably talk about a little later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could be right.
Wouldn't it be so weird and honestly almost poetic if, because we've been talking about like, who's going to be the company that's going to actually come through and create that cloud-like experience on-prem? Wouldn't it be insane if it was like IBM, who's been essentially dead
right?
for
Exactly.
30 years, for 20 years now, to come in over the top and do it?
Yeah. I mean,
that's the thing, though. Have they been dead, man? They've just been a mainstay for so long. And it's like, this is why, right? Decisions like this.
Yeah. It seems like they are shifting things around a bit. Like I read something somewhere that they have actually either outsourced or kind of pushed away some of the consulting business. I think, they have Kyndryl that does a lot of that now. So I think they've sectioned off a lot of that, and they're growing the software side of the house a little bit. I think I'm really interested to see what happens with all the infrastructure as code tooling now being under the same umbrella, with Ansible and Terraform living under the same roof, which I can think of plenty good, plenty bad with that regard. Like I'll be honest, as a person that has done infrastructure as code for a little bit, it's like I don't love Ansible. To be fair, I dealt with it in the early days, and I'm sure it's grown quite a bit since then. But
yeah,
I wasn't over the moon about it. And I'm wondering how the two are going to mesh together, because I think it's inevitable that they're going to be collapsed into something in some way.
Maybe. I mean, it would make some sense, but when you look at how Ansible is written, and not actually forget about how it's written, just how Ansible works as a product with the playbooks and just the workflow of Ansible, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. Technically, like I have a hard time seeing those two working hand in hand in any other way than having support in playbooks to like do Terraform deployments or something weird like that. Like I struggle to find another way for those two to really
an
work
Ansible
together.
Playbook provider.
or who knows, right? Like there will be probably some kind of weird integration. I don't know if IBM's going to come through with it or kind of look to the market to see what makes sense. But I mean, IBM also has things that nobody ever thinks about. Like IBM has a multi-cloud.
Yeah.
They have a multi-cloud solution of, I forget what it's called. We did a story on it, not, several episodes, probably last year now, actually. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Do you remember what it's called? That's the problem. I can't remember this is my point. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about this freaking thing. But it exists, right? So again, you kind of see, all right, well, does IBM have any plans to, create a Terraform provider or use Terraform with that platform that they have? So I don't know, man. There's a lot up in the air here.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not any kind of developer, but it is interesting. I didn't think of this before, but Ansible's written in Python and Terraform's written in Go.
Yeah,
right? I don't know how many issues that causes in terms of like reconciling that somehow, but.
Well, I think that's what I mean when I'm saying it's not going to be a full integration. It's going to be one doing the other because of exactly that. Like you can't. you can't meld you can't
just
bring the two code bases together.
It's
right?
just going to be chained together in some way. Yeah, there's going to be some interoperability. I think selfishly, I'm just worried that I'm going to have to learn more about Ansible than I want to. So we'll see what.
I hated Ansible so much because it updated all the time. And your playbooks were useless, and I was learning at the time. So like as soon as I figured out anything, it was worthless because they had updated Ansible, and I hated updating Ansible. Oh my god, don't get me started. Anyway, yeah, totally agreed.
Yeah, the only other thing, again, I don't want to make the whole episode about this, but the only other thing is, I wonder what this does for the rest of the ecosystem for infrastructure as code. Like OpenTofu can take pretty big advantage of this. Pulumi is still out there. Crossplane is another company that, I mean, really besides those three, I'm really very curious to see what happens to the whole infrastructure as code like industry. So that'll be very interesting to watch.
We don't know if they're going to pull it in yet and start charging for it. I mean, they might pull a Red Hat, or not a Red Hat, like a CentOS / Red Hat thing, even though they already killed CentOS. But you know what I mean? Like that kind of, we don't know yet what they're actually going to do, because I'm sure they're going to look to monetize it, but they're not Broadcom. I don't think we're going to come in and be like, fuck everybody, pay or leave. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but yeah, we don't know yet.
I mean, in that vein, I will say, out on socials and things like that, I've seen a lot of HashiCorp ambassador members that are not happy about this, not excited at all. The outlook looks pretty grim. Given if you're a HashiCorp ambassador, you're pretty bought in on that ecosystem, so it probably is easy to be more cynical than most people. But yeah, it's their outlook doesn't look great in that regard. So it will, I hope for the best. I love Terraform. I'd hate to see it, fall into something that is, I'll leave it there.
You gonna renew your cert now, Chris?
I just did recently, so it's I have enough time between the next one to determine how I want to
think about it,
move forward. Yeah.
All right, let's get off this topic. So next one is, this is called Microsoft versus AWS versus Google Cloud earnings of Q1 2024. Right, this is like a face-off. It's a whole article. This actually, I think it's from CRN, if I remember right. So this goes into the details of the big three cloud providers, kind of what their earnings have been compared to a year ago, right? Like Q1 2023. There's a lot of interesting numbers in here. They break it down like really well as far as like the data that's actually interesting. Some quick things to call out is Google is at, I think it was 900 million. So they're getting very close. They were not profitable until Q1 of 23. And that was like 100 something million. So they've gone up to almost $1 billion. That's like a 800 million increase in a single year.
Yeah.
So they're growing, right? And then the other thing to talk about is Azure edges out AWS, but the way that they kind of present their data is weird. And I don't know if one of you guys have this pulled up, but they call out how Azure lumps so many things into what they called it like their intelligent cloud platform or something like that.
Yeah, anything that runs on Azure.
Yeah, there's so much lumped into it, so there's no way to tell specifically if that's.
Yeah, so think Azure, SQL Server, Windows Server, Visual Studio, Nuance, GitHub, Microsoft Partner Network, etc. So there's a lot that goes into that.
So their own products running on Azure, they count as Azure money, or count as, it's basically it's a little tongue in cheek, honestly.
It'd be like AWS counting Amazon as a customer, right? Like, maybe they do.
They probably do.
Who knows? You guys got any comments on this one?
It's kind of expected. All the numbers, I think. I mean, the numbers are good. They still show cloud growth. I don't understand because I was told that everybody was pulling everything back to their data center. I don't know why we're still growing here, but we'll have to ask what DHH next time we have them on.
Yeah, all the numbers are relative, but I think it's good to see Google growing. What was it, 28% sales growth at least, which is good.
I think something like that.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's good to see more than just the top two having that much. I mean, Google,
right, blowing away.
Yeah, right. I mean, but like I said, all the numbers are relative, right? So I mean, they're only going to get so big, but yeah, it was good. I think it was pretty par for the course, what we expected. I don't know where the repatriation numbers are going to hit, but they should be coming any moment now, right?
Well, if you think about it, AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, it's really kind of a battle royale.
It is, yeah. Who's going to be number one? Victory royale.
Oh, man. Okay. With that one, Tim, I'm going to let you take the next one.
All right. So on our fortnightly news, we are now talking about Fortinet. Yeah. So
no
Fortinet, no relation. Fortinet is now, they basically did a press release, a newsroom, whatever you want to call it, release saying that the new version of FortiOS, hang on, I got to bring up the article. I forget what they call it. I think it's FortiOS, is including Gen AI in it, because of course it is, right? Amazing. What? Huge shocker. No. Specifically around threat detection, threat mitigation, all that good stuff. Fortinet has an interesting angle because they have multiple products, and their big thing is how like all of their products run the same OS, which is good. I mean, Cumulus has the same story. Lots of, there are some good vendors that have that same story. Arista, right? Which is valid. And they call it their Fortinet security fabric, I believe is what they call it, right? And it's basically this idea of you get visibility across all the Fortinet deployments, all the things, and feeds back to I hate this name, the Forta manager, and gives you that full visibility across the security visibility across the network. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot necessarily to this article. It does talk about like, hey, we're including. You're going to see more Gen AI. You're going to see more threat detection. You're going to see stuff. So we'll have it in the show notes, of course. But yeah, just another security vendor saying, hey, we're now including Gen AI in the product. I mean, the more we see this, all the vendors saying that they're getting Gen AI in the product. I mean, it just seems like the storm is growing, and the ring of safety just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Okay. And so this one is good. I actually need to bring the window closed me. I actually need to bring up this article because this article is kind of infinitely quotable. 1 second. So we have an article from Computer Weekly saying Andy Jassy, the CEO of AWS, is basically saying, hey, the results that we've seen from the Q1 earnings reports show us that, Gen AI has huge demand, and that everybody. Oh, let me find the actual quote here. Everybody basically has done optimized. Yeah. Hold on.
Before that.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy claimed the lion's share of cost optimization is largely completed, and enterprises are turning their attention once again to accelerating the pace of their cloud migration. So you heard it here. Andy Jassy has let us know, the CEO of Amazon CEO Andy Jassy has let us know that you guys are all done. So if you didn't get a chance to optimize, you're going to have to wait for the next round. I'm sorry. Go ahead and start cranking the migration dial again, please.
Yeah. So what
do you guys think of this one?
We were just at reInvent in November, and there was this large focus on being frugal and cloud optimization. It seems that in short of 5-6 months.
It's May.
Yeah,
so 7 months. It's all done. Generous.
Yeah, the messaging worked. Everyone did it. Everyone hit the button all at one time. This probably has nothing to do with their earnings being less than what they anticipated, but they have refocused on migrations to the cloud. It's all back to business as usual, right?
Sure, I'm glad to hear this. I mean, if I went into Amazon stock, this would be really important for me to hear.
Oh man, I just can't. I mean. What's interesting, I think something I just caught as you were reading this, Tim, is this isn't wasn't Adam Selipsky saying this, who is the actual CEO of AWS, This is
Right.
Andy Jassy, who used to be and is now the CEO of Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
already weird on its own, right? Why isn't Adam the one saying this? But yeah, really happy to know that they're done that quickly. Everybody just decided we're done. We're caught up. Let's just push forward and everything's good to go.
Well,
now.
mostly what I'm most excited about is the fact that they all got together and sent Andy Jassy an email or something saying, "Hey, we're actually all done. We're just going to start accelerating again." But I do feel really bad for the companies that didn't get a chance to do this, because now they're going to have to wait for next time.
They have to pay more. That they get penalized. Actually, their prices go up.
Yeah, right. Because they didn't do it on time. Yep.
Oh my God! What a silly article. But yeah, I mean that's the focus of this article. It sounds as ridiculous as it is. It's focusing on Amazon's financial earnings, and specifically focusing also on the fact that the earnings have missed numbers. And this Q1 earnings shows that they're doing a little bit better than they were for the last few quarters. So he's attributing to that, to the optimization being completely completed.
Nice.
Awesome stuff.
Yep. And Chris, I think you're up with the next one.
Yeah. So next up, we have a real short one from executivebiz.com about Nutanix. They basically have run a survey. So their sixth annual global, this is the biggest tongue twister I can try to say, Nutanix sixth annual global public sector enterprise cloud index survey and research report. Try saying that 2 times fast, let alone 3 times fast. But anyways, so 85% of the respondents from the public sector say their organizations have embraced cloud smart IT deployment strategies. However, only 8% were saying that they are actually using a hybrid multi-cloud strategy, which I think this comes as no surprise to anyone that the public sector is moving slower than the rest of the industry. It's just funny that it was called out like this, but I mean, Nutanix, obviously, I think we all agree Nutanix has their addressable market has grown substantially with the oustings by Broadcom, right? So this is probably a huge benefit for them. Which they also have a multi-cloud product, as far as I know, similar to what VMware had. But yeah, any comments, guys?
I work for a VAR that does work in the public sector, so I'm even surprised. Like, I know it's low, but I'm surprised that it's only 8%. And I guess that's why I added this one, right? Because it's just, there's a lot of talk going on about moving stuff to a hybrid multi-cloud kind of layout, but I'm just shocked that it's that low. I mean, it's definitely under 50%, but I just didn't think 8%. That's crazy. That's such a low number.
So do you think that it's 8% because it's the question was hybrid multi-cloud, meaning both, or maybe it's multi-cloud probably is the bigger problem for these places? I can't imagine hybrid.
Are you trying to imply the public sector didn't understand the question?
No. What I'm saying is the number is low, right? 8%. Yeah. So do you think it's that low because very few in the public sector are multi-cloud or hybrid multi-cloud, or did they, that's what I would like to know. What was the definition that they were given to answer the question, right?
I don't think so. A lot of places do use multiple clouds, right? Because even more so than I think private sector companies. You
got gov clouds and stuff, right?
Well, gov clouds, exactly. That's why, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of places are using either the Azure and the AWS gov clouds, as well as like the public versions as well. I don't know. And then of course, it's almost good luck ever seeing anyone from the public sector shut down a physical data center. I just don't think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Like it'll never happen. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they should understand what that means, but who knows?
Well, it's not necessarily I'm saying like they don't understand the question, so they answered it wrong. But like it does matter, right? Like if I say hybrid multi-cloud, there's definitely an there's a definition that is needed for anybody answering the question, not just public sector. And what I mean then is if they had said hybrid single cloud, would the number be substantially larger? Or if they'd had said, just multi-cloud and not said hybrid, would the number be substantially larger? Like that's
right. That's a good point.
I think it kind of goes both ways though, because like I almost think that the definition of multi-cloud it sometimes is way too loose, and people
it is
opt
very
in.
Loose.
Like
it's very loose.
I mean, obviously, this article goes in the opposite direction of what I'm about to say, but like I talk to prospects and new customers all the time. They're like, "Yeah, we're multi-cloud. It's like we're like 99% in AWS, and we use Office 365." I was like, "Well, that's not." Yes, I guess
it's not multi-cloud, dude.
Yeah, like I guess it kind of is, but like
so like technically it is.
Yeah. If the only thing you have another cloud is a SaaS service, you're not multi-cloud. That's not how that works.
Hey, if you're going by Microsoft's earnings, that falls into the
that's a good point.
the umbrella. All right,
that's a very good point.
All right, let's move on. So next one. A quick one that really is close to Alex's heart. He's really excited about this, so I wanted to bring it up. So we have an article from Network World talking about new integrations in networking and, big surprise, AI from Cisco and Red Hat that I guess they'll be talking about a lot of this at the new Red Hat Summit that's coming up. I think it's just in a few weeks or something like that. I can't remember the exact date, but basically this article is really focused on the integration between ACI and Red Hat's OpenShift, which is their container platform for developing AI workloads and things like that. So if you look through this list, you'd see there's a lot of vendors involved in this suite here, or I guess it's probably a modular thing. But we, see obviously talks of NVIDIA for the GPUs. We see talks of VMware, of course, OpenShift, NetApp even. And it looks like they're working on developing, CVDs, which I don't know if anyone out there who hasn't, lived by CVDs for quite a while. I always, go by the validated designs. It's, a great way to start, especially in Greenfield. But they'll be putting together some CVDs for Gen AI use cases, which is, interesting to see. I don't know how many customers are building their on-prem environments to run Gen AI workloads, but I could very much be wrong. I think the biggest thing that I wanted to call out, there's a Cisco ACI CNI plugin that is involved here, which is I think it's just funny that they even exist. But yeah, Alex, how do you feel? Is your heart so warm?
Yeah.
Your heart is so full right now.
Just so much to say. I mean, it's one thing to talk about like our companies building their own on-prem setups for Gen AI. But to do it with ACI and OpenShift just seems like, I don't know that that's the answer. Like, I'll be nice and just say that. My whole thing is when we first started the show, I always talked about ACI. I think ACI helped me understand so much like the benefits of the cloud and just kind of taking a step back and looking at applications. And Cisco is so confusing with their messaging about data center and what they're doing with ACI and what they're doing with Nexus. And it's like, there's no cohesive message. So I have no idea, like an ACI CNI, where did this come from? Who's actually using it? What use cases do you actually have for this? Like there's so much that's missing and not marketed, and there's no blog posts, and like you really have to dig, I'm sure, to find out information on this ACI CNI. So stuff like that, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, the only reason to have an ACI CNI is to do exactly this, right? Here's a container, it's connected to ACI. That's the entire use case, and that's the only use case that it makes any sense, right? You wouldn't use this anywhere else. So yeah, I mean, and this was all news to us as well. We all read this article and we were like, holy shit, ACI is a CNI. okay, today I learned, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I guess they are bringing it in because of like microsegmentation purposes.
I
it kind of
assume so,
allows
yeah.
them to extend to that, right? But okay, where are the CVDs for that? Because I've never seen any.
Dude, what happens to the ACI CNI now that Hypershield is here?
Yeah, that's an even better question. Because now they're just competing directly with themselves,
which is not unusual for Cisco in any way, shape, or form. To be fair,
maybe it's probably just too difficult to make
sad.
it work in ACI, so they just like, yeah, we'll have this separate thing.
Honestly, I mean, if I had a choice between isovalent building my CNI and then an ACI version of CNI, I know which one I would go for.
You're picking ACI, 100%.
Yep, every time.
Just remove all the segmentation and integrate Hypershield into ACI. Like that would be so much better.
Exactly. So yeah, this one's the OpenShift thing is so weird, right? Because you don't how many CVDs involving Cisco plus, I mean, some other random competitor, not competitor. Competitor's not right. Just company that has a product. Do you see? Like there actually aren't that many CVDs that involve other companies. Truthfully, this one is like 6 of them in there, and they're like that they're talking about.
Gen AI, man.
It's a money grab. I mean, and Cisco sees it, and they're like, you know what? We'll produce a CVD where we are the center of the universe, and all these other people can use us like to connect to shit, right? So it's a smart move.
Let's so we got the last one. This is from SDX Central. It's called Is the AWS Network Firewall Safe? Cyber ratings test reveals concerns. Chris, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take a stab at this one because you brought this to our attention.
I found this earlier today and just thought it was so funny because it's just an absolute at least an absolute attempt of a dunk on AWS Network Firewall, which is just so funny. So there's this company, Cyber Ratings, where they were doing a test of multiple cloud network firewalls technologies just to kind of give them all a rating out of 100%. So we saw them looking at not just AWS, but things like Barracuda, Checkpoint, Cisco, Fortinet, Palo, a lot of the big names in here, right? So as gone through, they scored pretty high for other cloud firewalls. So we had Palo coming in. They gave Palo 100%. Versa got like a 99%. Checkpoint 99%. Rounding out the bottom, AWS Network Firewall, out of 100%, they gave it a rating of 5.39%. So,
Jesus.
Just absolute saying they're basically like, yeah, AWS Network Firewall is absolute dog water, like not worth even looking at. AWS kind of clapped back and, they refuted the claim saying that, this is not rooted in truth and, our customers should refer to the best practice documents, et cetera. And then the CEO of Cyber Ratings, Vikram Phatak, I think is his name. He kind of was like, no, we've this is like buying a car where the airbag doesn't work is basically his representation of AWS Network Firewall, which one, it's funny to just see someone just absolutely shitting all over a product from AWS that's used by so many customers for security. But I think the biggest thing is that's the rating they gave it. And I don't know if you've ever priced AWS Network Firewall.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's so comical to me that this is the outcome of that. But what are your thoughts on this?
What I appreciate about this article is that the CEO of Cyber Ratings, which by the way is a nonprofit cybersecurity research firm, so there's no money in this for them, said that they were able to work directly with AWS engineers to try to get their AWS firewall working, and they had to mess around with the firewall rules in a way that's completely different than the documentation suggests. They also even said they hired a consultant, like an AWS consultant, to help them with the AWS firewall. So basically they did everything except go buy AWS and then do it and then force their own engineers to do it, basically. And just said, like, look, it just doesn't work. Like, it's broke. And 5%, that means it's 95% ineffective. I don't even know how you create a rating like that. What does that mean? Like, I turned it on and the power works and that's about it. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add. It's just a hilarious article. The ratings, right? The ratings is the biggest focus. That is 5.39 out of 100. That is just hilarious. It is weird though that they give Palo 100%. Like, I want to see what they're kind of grading this against, because
you'd want to
should like never have 100% ever, no matter what, right? Same with Versa Networks. I didn't even know that they had a firewall, to be honest.
9.9, 99.9, not just 99, right? 99.9. Right. So a 0.10% ineffective. And Versa has SD-WAN, and I think
they were just an SD-WAN company.
They must have security as part of the SD-WAN thing, I assum. But yeah, I don't know either. I'm sure. Maybe. But yeah, no. That what this means though is that whatever criteria they used, was the bar was low enough that Pan got 100%, like completely impregnable.
I mean, Pan's good. Like, I like Pan, but 100, like.
Yeah. That's a bold claim. That's a bold claim, is all I'm saying. There's enough CVEs out there looking at Palo or any other vendor that 100% is not. But that actually sounds worse for AWS, because here the bar is low enough that like 3 different cybersecurity vendors get 99. Damn nigh 100%, and they can't muster 6%. They can't get quite to 6%. Where does the 0.37 come from anyway? I kind of wonder where the 0.37%.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I'm going to dive into this more and try to see exactly what the criteria was.
I almost want to go back to the history.
It's a bold statement.
See what, like, this almost screams like "who hurt you" type situation. Like, maybe there's a grudge, like
a jilted lover.
But yeah, that one's great. But as always, we'll put all these notes in the Cloud News of the Week document. So if anyone wants to read any of these, have a look and go through it yourself. There's some extra stuff in there that I think we didn't get to today. Actually, no, this might be it. I think we covered everything. Which is
slow news week.
Week. Yeah, that is everything we had. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening. Continue to subscribe, share this around, like all of our stuff, make fun of Tim on Twitter and X and everywhere else.
Yeah, please. You're not going to find me on X, so don't bother there. But I am on Twitter.
You might find him in a Fortnite battle royale.
Yeah, maybe
one day.
I'm farming skins.
Find him on TikTok, actually.
I am on TikTok. That's true. I am on TikTok.
Is it what's your handle on TikTok?
Oh, Carpe DMVPN. But don't forget also that Cables to Clouds has a TikTok as well, which I, encourage everyone to take a look at.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Hi everyone. It's Alex, and this has been the Cables to Clouds podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcatcher, as well as subscribe and turn on notifications for our YouTube channel to be notified of all of our new episodes. Follow us on socials at Cables2Clouds. You can also visit our website for all of the show notes at cablestoclouds.com. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.